I never imagined my own birthday would become the stage for the ultimate betrayal. But there I stood, champagne glass in hand, staring at my husband's pregnant mistress walking through the door arm in arm with my sister. The restaurant seemed to fall silent, though I'm sure conversations continued around us. It felt like someone had sucked all the oxygen from the room as our eyes locked across the private dining area of Harborview Restaurant. Ethan, my husband of 8 years, froze beside me, his face draining of color faster than I could process what was happening. Before we dive back in, let us know where you're tuning in from. If this story resonates with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because tomorrow, I've got something even more special lined up just for you. I never imagined my own birthday would become the stage for the ultimate betrayal. There I stood, champagne glass in hand, staring at my husband's pregnant mistress walking through the door arm in arm with my sister. The restaurant seemed to fall silent, though conversations continued around us. It felt like someone sucked all the oxygen from the room as our eyes locked across the private dining area of Harborview Restaurant. Ethan, my husband of 8 years, froze beside me, his face draining of color faster than I could process what was happening. Before I continue, tell me where you're tuning in from, and if this story resonates, make sure you're subscribed. Tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Surprise, my sister Claire called out, her smile too wide, too knowing. The champagne trembled in my hand as it began to shake. Weeks of planning this intimate gathering for my 35th birthday were unraveling in the most spectacular way possible. But let me tell you something about me, Anna Taylor. I've never been one to create a scene. Always the peacekeeper. Always the one smoothing things over. That night, however, something inside me snapped. The announcement I made changed everything. 2 weeks before my birthday, disaster struck. I was organizing files in our home office when I found Ethan's email open on our shared computer. Not snooping, I'm not that kind of person, but a name caught my eye, Olivia. The subject line read, "Doctor's appointment confirmed." I stared at the screen, telling myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Ethan managed several female employees at his architectural firm. Maybe it was work-related. But something pushed me forward. The message was brief but devastating. Appointment scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. 12-week ultrasound. Can't wait for you to see our baby. Love, oh. The room tilted beneath me. 12 weeks. Our baby. Those words burned into my retinas as I gripped the desk. Ethan and I had been trying to conceive for 3 years without success. 3 rounds of failed IVF had drained our savings and left emotional scars still healing. I took screenshots, sent them to my personal email, and closed everything just as I heard his key in the front door. That night, I lay beside him, studying his sleeping face in the dim light filtering through our curtains. How could he look so peaceful carrying such a secret? The next morning at breakfast, I mentioned casually, "I'm thinking of having my birthday dinner at Harborview." Ethan nodded, scrolling through his phone. "Sounds perfect. Just let me know the details so I can put it on my calendar." I watched him carefully, searching for signs of guilt or hesitation. None. 8 years together and I couldn't read the lies on his face. That scared me more than anything. Later that day, I met my best friend Mia at our favorite coffee shop and showed her the screenshots. "Holy Anna," she whispered. "Are you sure it's what you think?" I nodded, my throat tight. There are more emails, going back months. They met at a conference last year. "Have you confronted him?" "Not yet. I want to understand the full picture first." Mia reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "Whatever you need, I'm here." What I needed was answers, and I knew just who might have them. My sister Claire had always been closer to Ethan than to me. They shared the same dark humor, the same taste in obscure films. They texted regularly and had inside jokes I found uncomfortable but dismissed as paranoia. I called Claire that afternoon. "Hey, do you have time for coffee tomorrow? There's something I want to talk about." After a pause too long, she said, "Sure, but it'd have to be early. I have appointments all afternoon." We met the next morning at a downtown coffee shop. Claire arrived immaculate, her highlighted hair perfect, her polished appearance making other women envious. "So what's this about?" she asked after ordering an oat milk latte. I kept my face neutral. "I'm planning a birthday dinner at Harborview. Small gathering. I'd like you to come." "Of course I'll come. Send me the details." I stirred my coffee. "Do you know anyone named Olivia, perhaps through Ethan?" A flicker of alarm crossed her face, but she recovered quickly. "Olivia? I don't think so. Why? I thought I heard him mention someone by that name." Claire checked her watch. "I should get going, early court appearance. But send me the details." As she hurried away, I noticed her coffee was mostly untouched. That evening, I scrolled through Ethan's contacts while he showered. No Olivia. I checked call history. Nothing suspicious. Either he was being incredibly careful or he had a second phone. I felt dirty invading his privacy, but continuing in ignorance seemed worse somehow. The next clue came from an unexpected source. Ethan's father called me the following day. "Anna, do you know if Ethan's planning to come to our anniversary dinner next month? He hasn't RSVP'd. Said he might be out of town." My stomach clenched. Out of town? He hadn't mentioned any trips to me. Well, maybe I misunderstood. He said something about an overnight trip to Pinehurst with a client. Pinehurst was a quiet upscale resort town perfect for a romantic getaway. "I'll ask him and get back to you," I said, voice steady. That night, I casually mentioned the dinner. "Your dad called today. Wants to know if we're going." Ethan didn't look up from his laptop. Maybe. That Pinehurst client meeting. The overnight one. His eyes flickered up to mine, then back to the screen. Yeah. Still waiting for confirmation. The ease with which he lied terrified me. Had it always been this way? Over the next few days, I became a detective in my own marriage. I discovered credit card charges for jewelry I'd never seen, dinner reservations at restaurants we'd never visited, and most damning, a lease agreement for an apartment in the Arts District co-signed by Ethan and Olivia Palmer. I drove by one afternoon, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and massive windows, very expensive, only 15 minutes from Ethan's office. I sat in my car across the street when a woman emerged. Tall, auburn hair cascading over a flowing summer dress, clearly pregnant. She looked exactly like the woman in photos tagged with Ethan's colleagues on social media. Something inside me froze. I followed her to an upscale grocery store. After parking, I found her selecting avocados. Taking a deep breath, I approached. "Excuse me, are you Olivia?" She turned, curious but calm. "Yes." "Do I know you?" "No. But I believe you know my husband, Ethan Taylor." The avocado fell to the floor as her face drained of color. Her free hand moved protectively to her belly. "Anna," she whispered. The fact she knew my name shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. Made it all the more real. "How far along are you?" I nodded to her stomach. She swallowed hard. 14 weeks. 2 weeks had passed since I found the email. While I suffered through painful fertility treatments, my husband was creating life with someone else. "Does Claire know?" I asked, watching her face. She faltered. "Who?" "My sister, Claire." Confusion crossed her face. "I don't know who that is." She was lying. But about what, I couldn't tell. "I intend to," I said. "But first, I'd like to invite you to my birthday dinner next Friday at Harborview. 7 o'clock. Her eyes widened. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Probably not," I said. "But I insist. Consider it a gift to me." My heart hammered as I walked away. The next few days were a blur of preparations. I confirmed reservations, sent reminders, and ordered a special cake, all while carrying the weight of what I knew and planning my words. Ethan noticed nothing. Commented on my excitement, offered help with arrangements, continued to sleep peacefully beside me. The final piece fell into place the day before my birthday. A coworker mentioned seeing Claire at my gynecologist's office, with Olivia. They had gone to my doctor for the 12-week ultrasound appointment. The picture became grotesque. That night, I called my parents. "Mom, Dad, I need you to come to my birthday dinner tomorrow. It's important." "Of course, sweetheart. Is everything all right?" "It will be." For the first time in weeks, I felt a strange calm. The day dawned bright and clear. I treated myself to a spa morning, new dress, hair and nails done. The emerald green dress made my eyes fierce and determined, not sad. Ethan complimented me sincerely. We arrived early. The private dining room overlooked the water, floor-to-ceiling windows capturing the sunset. I requested a specific seating, Ethan at one end, me at the other, guests strategically placed. As guests arrived, my parents, friends, colleagues, only Claire and Olivia were missing. Then the door opened. There they stood, Claire, stunning in black, and Olivia, her pregnancy unmistakable in blue. The room felt muted. Ethan's face drained of color, frozen halfway out of his chair. "Surprise," Claire called, but her voice faltered seeing my expression and seating. I raised my glass, locking eyes with Ethan. "I'd like to thank everyone for coming," I said clearly, "especially our surprise guests, my sister Claire and Olivia, who is carrying my husband's child. Why don't you both take a seat? The show is just beginning." Gasps filled the room. Ethan's mother covered her mouth. My father half rose, anger and confusion on his face. "Anna," Ethan choked out, "what are you doing?" I sipped my champagne, celebrating my birthday by unwrapping the truth. Isn't that what birthdays are for? Gifts. And the truth is quite a gift, don't you think? Claire turned pale. "Please, let's talk privately," she pleaded. I laughed hollowly. "Privately? Like how you accompanied your brother-in-law's mistress to my doctor's appointments. Or how you knew about their affair while looking me in the eye every day." My mother gasped. "Claire, is this true?" I wasn't finished. I turned to Ethan. "Did you know I found the lease agreement for the apartment you share with Olivia? Co-signed by Claire's law firm? That's my sister's firm, by the way. Clear conflict of interest." Olivia began to cry, cradling her belly. "This isn't how I wanted you to find out," Ethan finally said. "Really?" I asked, sarcasm thick. "You didn't plan for me to discover your affair and secret love child through emails, credit card statements, and chance encounters? How thoughtful of you." The room fell silent. I placed an envelope on the table. Inside are divorce papers already filed, evidence of financial fraud, how Ethan diverted funds to support his new life with Olivia, and details of how my sister helped facilitate this fraud. Claire's face crumpled. "I'm sure you can explain," I interrupted, "but I'm no longer interested. What I want is justice." Standing tall, I declared. "As of today, I am divorcing Ethan Taylor, severing all ties with Claire Carter. I'm starting a new life where loyalty and honesty are non-negotiable." The silence was deafening. The next moments were chaos. Ethan tried to approach me but was blocked by my father. Olivia collapsed into sobs. Claire tried to speak to my mother, who turned away. I walked calmly to the door, addressing the stunned guests. "Please enjoy the dinner. Everything's paid for, including the cake. Red velvet with cream cheese frosting. My favorite. Or at least it used to be." I stepped out into the cool evening air, breathing as a woman who would never again silence her voice for those who betrayed her. Halfway to my car, tears came, deep, angry sobs tearing through me. "Rachel, wait," my friend Mia called, running after me. "I'm coming with you." I nodded. The night was just beginning. The next morning, the storm of the birthday dinner still lingered, but I couldn't afford to linger in the wreckage. Mia stayed with me overnight, offering quiet comfort between the flood of calls and messages I was ignoring. One message, however, demanded my attention, from a woman named Diane Harper. Diane Harper was Ethan's business partner's wife, a woman I had only met in passing at firm events. Her message was simple, yet heavy. Rachel, we need to talk. In person. Somewhere neutral. I agreed, choosing a small park on the outskirts of the city, a place away from the glare of gossip and cameras. When I arrived, Diane was already seated on a bench near the pond, her posture calm but her eyes betraying the storm within. She was a woman in her early 40s, elegant and composed. Like me, I thought, except her poise masked a war waging beneath. "Thank you for meeting me," she said quietly as I sat beside her. No handshake, no small talk, just the unspoken weight of what was to come. "I heard from Olivia," Diane continued. "Everything, the affair, the baby, the arrangement with Ethan. I'm sorry." Her words were sincere, but my heart ached knowing she, too, had been deceived. "Don't be," I replied. "It's not your fault." Diane's voice hardened. "I've suspected Ethan for years. What I didn't know was the extent or who else was involved." Her eyes locked onto mine. "What are your intentions, Rachel? With all this?" Her directness was a relief after weeks of lies. "I'm filing for divorce. Fraud, deception, the works. I'm reporting Claire to the bar for ethical violations. And I'm using everything, Olivia's testimony, Diane's financial records, to make my case." Diane absorbed this calmly. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a flash drive. "I've been gathering evidence against Ethan for years. Suspicious withdrawals, unexplained expenses, shell companies linked to Harper and Taylor Architecture. I was preparing for my own divorce, but what I found goes deeper." I stared at the flash drive. "Why give this to me?" I asked. "Because you're fighting openly. I need to protect my children from scandal. You use this however you want. Just promise me one thing, you'll warn me before anything goes public." I accepted the drive, stunned by this unexpected alliance. "Thank you. I will." As we parted, Diane added, "They underestimated us both. Let's make sure they never make that mistake again." Back at Zoe's apartment, my resolve hardened. Pieces fell into place. Olivia's story about the fake pregnancy, Diane's financial files, my own findings about missing assets, and witness statements about Ethan's and Claire's conduct. I was reviewing everything with my attorney Marcus Chen when my phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "We need to talk. Please. I miss you. Come home." I showed Marcus, who frowned deeply. "Don't respond," he advised. "All communication should go through me now." But the message nagged at me, not because I wanted reconciliation, that bridge was burned, but because it signaled desperation. The next morning, Zoe burst into the guest room where I was working. "You need to see this," she said, handing me her tablet. A social media post from Claire appeared. She was comforting a visibly distraught Ethan. The caption read, "Standing by family during mental health crises isn't easy but essential. Sending healing thoughts to my brother-in-law as he navigates this." The comments were full of sympathy and subtle digs at me, painting me as the villain who abandoned a mentally ill husband. "They're setting the stage," I said through clenched teeth. Zoe sat beside me, her face grim. "They're trying to discredit you." I scrolled through dozens of comments from friends offering support to Ethan while ignoring me. "Well," I said, picking up my phone, "two can play at this game." I dialed 3 numbers. First, Marcus, to send cease and desist letters to Ethan and Claire for defamation. Second, a reporter who covered business ethics and corruption. I arranged a meeting to share the financial irregularities at the firm. Third, Ethan's parents. His mother Rachel answered, surprise clear in her voice. "We've been worried. I'm sure you've heard his side." "I have," I said evenly. "But before you judge, I want to meet. There are truths you need to hear." "Of course, dear," she said warmly. That afternoon, I arrived at their Tudor-style home. Walking through familiar hallways filled with family photos, including many from Ethan and my wedding day, I felt a pang, not of longing, but loss. Margaret, his mother, opened the door with a concerned expression. "Rachel, come in." Robert's in the study. Robert, Ethan's father, greeted me gravely. "Thank you for coming," I said, taking a seat across from him. "I want to tell you the truth," I began. For the next hour I laid out everything. The affair, the false pregnancy, financial deception, and the coordinated efforts to silence me. I showed emails, bank records, and Olivia's statement. They sat in stunned silence, expressions shifting from disbelief to horror. Robert spoke first. "If what you say is true, then the son we raised isn't the man in that house." Margaret reached for my hand. "I'm so sorry for what he's done to you." "You didn't create this," I told her gently. "Ethan made his choices. So did Claire." Robert shook his head. "Using a child as a pawn, manipulating you, it's unconscionable." "What will you do now?" Margaret asked. "Proceed with the divorce," I said. "Expose the financial fraud." They exchanged a glance. "We support you," Robert said firmly. "Whatever you need." That unexpected support broke something open inside me. For the first time, I cried, not with anger or shock, but relief. Later, I called Diane to warn her about the fallout ahead. She was ready. We were no longer just victims. We were allies. The next day, Marcus called with urgent news. About $2 million had vanished from joint accounts in the last 3 months, funneled through shell companies and offshore accounts. "We can trace it," Derek, the forensic accountant, said, "but recovery will be complicated." Vivian, our privacy law specialist, reported that Claire had filed a restraining order against me, accusing me of harassment. "That's ridiculous," I said. Marcus nodded. "We'll prove it with phone records." It's a desperate tactic. We decided to strike first. Marcus prepared a filing detailing the fraud, paternity deception, and Claire's ethical violations. Once public, it would bring scrutiny and fallout. The filing was submitted. Within hours, the local business journal ran a headline. "Fraud allegations rock Harper and Taylor Architecture, co-founder accused of financial misconduct and personal deception." The media frenzy was immediate. Reporters called. Friends reached out. Ethan's family was shaken. Then Robert Wilson returned to me, panicked. "Nearly $3 million is missing from our retirement accounts," he said. Ethan had power of attorney for his parents' finances, and had been siphoning funds. I introduced Robert to Derek, who started recovery efforts. I felt the enormity of Ethan's betrayal, stealing from me, his family, everyone who trusted him. That evening, I received a chilling call from Claire. "Are you happy now?" she hissed. "You've destroyed everything." "You destroyed it yourself," I replied calmly. "You didn't expect the truth to come out?" Her voice dropped to a threat. "There are people involved who won't take this lying down." That night, I realized exposing Ethan and Claire had pulled a thread connected to something much darker. A money laundering scheme involving Vincent Castellano, a real estate developer with alleged organized crime ties. Marcus arranged private security for me. The battle had escalated beyond a bitter divorce. It was war. The months following the trial brought a mix of relief and new challenges. The verdict against Ethan and James Harper was a hard-won victory, but the aftermath was a maze of legal battles, emotional healing, and redefining who I was beyond the wreckage of my marriage and betrayal. The Phoenix Gallery became my refuge and my declaration of independence. Each day spent curating exhibits, meeting artists, and welcoming visitors was a reminder that I was no longer defined by the past but by the life I was building. It was a place where pain transformed into purpose, where resilience bloomed in every brushstroke and sculpture. Zoe and Jason's friendship remained a steadfast support. Their home, filled with warmth and chaos from their kids and loyal dog, was a sanctuary where I could laugh and be myself again. My parents, once distant, had grown closer, showing up in ways I never expected. Helping me move into my new apartment, attending court dates, and simply being there when I needed them most. Even Robert and Margaret Wilson, once symbols of the life Ethan had destroyed, became unexpected allies. Our shared pain had forged a genuine bond, proof that family can be chosen and rebuilt. Claire, stripped of her law license and facing her own reckoning, receded from the public eye. Olivia, now a devoted mother to baby Emma, reached out occasionally. Our connection was complicated but real, a shared understanding born from deception and survival. Seeing her embrace motherhood despite the chaos gave me hope that healing was possible for all of us. One crisp autumn afternoon, a message from Megan unsettled me. She was out of the hospital and wanted to meet. My heart wavered at the thought. Part of me recoiled, unwilling to reopen old wounds, while another part longed for closure. After much hesitation, I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe, the air heavy with tension and unspoken regrets. Megan looked fragile and humbled, a far cry from the confident woman who had once betrayed me so deeply. She spoke of breakdowns, pressures, and years of choices warped by ambition and fear. I listened, torn between lingering anger and a growing compassion. Forgiveness was not immediate, nor guaranteed, but I offered a tentative olive branch, not as the sister I once knew, but as two women trying to find peace amid the wreckage. It was fragile, like glass barely holding together, but it was a start. The gallery flourished beyond my hopes. Invitations to collaborate poured in, and the community embraced the space as a beacon for bold, emerging artists. My life felt full again, not only with work but with possibility and renewal. At a quiet gathering with friends one evening, Zoe nudged me gently. "Have you thought about what you want next? Beyond the gallery?" I smiled, the question stirring something deep. "I'm not sure yet. Maybe love. Maybe family. Maybe something else entirely. But I know I'm ready." Winter gave way to spring, and I found myself embracing the unknown. The past had shaped me, but it no longer controlled my destiny. Each day was a blank canvas, awaiting the next brushstroke. And so, with hope as my guide and strength as my companion, I stepped forward into the life I was finally free to choose, one day at a time. Spring had fully blossomed over Lakeside Springs, and with it came a sense of renewal that contrasted sharply with the turmoil of the past months. The trial of Ethan Harper and James Harper had concluded, and the verdict was clear: guilty on multiple counts of wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy. Justice had been served, not only for me but for everyone harmed by their greed and deception. As I stood on the courthouse steps that day, the weight of the past half year was visible in the sea of cameras and microphones, yet I felt lighter than I had in a long time. Reporters shouted questions, their flashes capturing the image of a woman transformed by pain and perseverance. "Ms. Wilson, how do you feel about the verdict?" one reporter called out. I paused, collecting my thoughts carefully before answering. Justice was served today. Not just for me, but for all those affected by their actions. Now, we can begin the process of healing and moving forward. Marcus guided me through the crowd, his pride evident in the way he looked at me. "You did it," he said quietly as we reached his car. I allowed myself a rare, full exhale. The trial had forced me to relive every betrayal in public. The affair, the secret pregnancy, the financial fraud, but I had come out on the other side stronger, more resolved than ever. In the days following, the legal consequences rippled outward. Claire was facing disbarment, the Bar Association moving swiftly after the revelations about her unethical conduct. Megan's fragile state kept her out of the public eye for now, but the hospital stay following her suicide attempt had shaken even me. The woman who once seemed so cold and calculating was broken, and it forced me to reckon with complicated feelings. Was there room in my heart for forgiveness? Perhaps someday. Olivia, now a mother to baby Emma, became an unexpected but genuine friend. Our shared experience, though born of pain, created a bond one hadn't anticipated. She had chosen to rebuild her life quietly in Denver, away from the scandal, but our conversations reminded me that healing was possible even after the deepest wounds. The gallery opening was a triumphant celebration of new beginnings. The Phoenix Gallery pulsed with life. Art lovers, critics, and friends mingled amid the carefully curated exhibits. I wore the same emerald green dress from that fateful birthday dinner, a symbol of reclamation rather than heartbreak. My parents arrived early, their pride unmistakable. My father introduced himself with a beaming smile as the father of the visionary behind this gallery, and my mother's eyes glistened with tears. Zoe and Jason made their grand entrance with champagne and flowers, their warmth filling the room like sunlight. Even Robert and Margaret Wilson, Ethan's parents, came to show their support. Their presence was a testament to the complexities of family and forgiveness. The pain Ethan caused did not erase the love we still shared in some form, however fractured. As the night wound down, I found myself stepping outside for a moment of quiet reflection. The stars shimmered faintly above the city lights, and the cool night air soothed my restless thoughts. From devastation to triumph, the journey had been brutal, but I was still standing. There were still moments when grief struck unexpectedly, a nightmare of betrayal, a flash of anger, but they no longer consumed me. They were reminders of the past, not definitions of my future. A text from my father appeared on my phone. "So proud of you tonight, sweetheart. Your mother and I always knew you were destined for great things, but you've exceeded even our highest hopes. Love you." I smiled and typed back a heartfelt, "Thank you." Then came a message from an unknown number. "Megan, congratulations on the gallery opening. Heard it was a success. I'm doing better. Thank you for the flowers." Her words were not an apology, but they were a bridge, a fragile tentative step towards some kind of closure. I hesitated before replying, "Thank you. I'm glad you're doing better." It wasn't much, but it was honest. The following days were filled with planning and possibilities. The gallery was my foundation, but life beyond it stretched out, vast and unknown. Would I find love again? Would I want children of my own? Could I ever fully trust again? The answers were unclear, but for the first time, that uncertainty felt like freedom rather than fear. On a peaceful afternoon, Zoe asked, "So what's next for you, Rachel?" Beyond the gallery. I looked out at the bustling city below, the streets humming with life. Honestly, I don't know. And that's okay. For so long, my life was about Ethan, his career, our failed attempts at family. Then it was about his betrayal and the fallout. Now, it's about me. One day at a time. Zoe smiled warmly. "I'm proud of you. You've come so far." As the seasons turned, I embraced this new life with cautious hope. The gallery flourished, becoming a vibrant space that championed new voices and bold visions. Every success was a reminder of my resilience. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, I allowed myself to dream. Dream of a life unshackled by the past, of love that healed rather than hurt, of joy that was wholly my own. The woman I had been, the wife betrayed, the sister deceived, was no longer who I was. I was Rachel Wilson, survivor and creator, standing tall in the light of a future I would shape. The canvas was blank and ready. And I was ready to paint.